Meeting for August 25th, 2025. The time is 6 o'clock, and we're going to do a roll call. Here.
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 Yeah.
Here.
Here. All right, if everyone will stand, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I want to welcome everybody here tonight. Do we have any discussion or a motion for the previous meeting's minutes?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Commissioner.
I approve the previous minutes.
All right, we have a motion to approve the previous minutes. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Aye.
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 Aye. Yeah.
Jesse Ware.
All right. Now, there is no old business, so we will move on to new business. It's for case number 2025-115, a request from Smith Walker Engineering and Surveying to approve a preliminary plat for a subdivision of one parcel, parcel number 1089320000003603. And I will turn this over to our director for staff presentation.
Thank you. So this case we have tonight is a request from applicant Ben Smith of Smith Walker Engineering and Surveying to approve a preliminary plat for a subdivision of one parcel, resulting in 20 parcels, which will consist of 19 residential lots and one common open space. So on the next page, we have an aerial imagery. The parcel wishing to be subdivided is listed as 4560 Nail Road West. There's currently a single-family residential structure on this lot, and it's right under where that number is up there. Access to that house from Nail Road West is made by using the privately owned road to the west of this parcel. Two drainage areas run through this parcel. On the northern portion, there's a drainage area for the overflow of the pond in the Ravenwood G subdivision. On the southern portion, there's a stream that originates south of Nail Road West, enters the property, and exits on the western border of this parcel. So on the next page, we have the zoning here. This parcel is currently zoned AR. The applicant has applied for a rezoning request to change the zoning to R10 in order to build according to the plat being presented. And the R10 zoning is just for the lots that need to be R10. And so after approval of the preliminary plat, a final plat showing any necessary corrections will be presented to the city, as well as a separate rezoning request to ensure that the final plat and the zoning do not conflict in any way. And then so the next page, we have the preliminary plat. So below is a screenshot of the submitted preliminary plat for review. And just for good record keeping, we screenshotted that whole plat onto this page here. But on the next pages, we do have the more zoomed in views of that. So you can go to that next page, and this is a zoomed in view of lots 1 and 2. And we can always go back to any of these images that anybody wants to. If you go to the next page, here we have a screenshot of lots 3 through 20. And if you go to the next page, we've included the general notes section, and then also the typical street section imagery there. So if anybody wants to go to any part of these for review, we can always scroll back. So jumping ahead, we always like to put the actual text in the ordinance. That way we can have it in front of us for review during the meetings. So if you scroll down, we have our department review of that starting on page 9. So, regarding letter A, the proposed plat follows the requirement of connecting to nearby streets by acting as a continuation of Jordan Drive. So the street connectivity is technically, it complies with that requirement. Regarding letter B, the proposed plat follows the requirement of keeping the same street name for the continuation of Jordan Drive. However, the cove at lots 12, 13, 14, and 15 technically may need its own street name, and we figured we would just talk to the developer or engineer to let them choose that street name, and then let us know about it, and then we'll just verify if it is a duplicate of any other in the county. And then, so regarding letter C, planning staff cannot disprove that the proposed plat gives due regard to the topography and other physical features of the property. Based on complaints given to city staff by the neighboring property owners, there appears to be an issue with flooding in the area. However, as plats typically do not show specifics on drainage, planning staff cannot make any determination on the matter of water collection and drainage. And so if there's any concern about that, the applicant can address that tonight. But we cannot, in our report, say that it conflicts with it. Regarding letter D, the proposed plat follows the regulations on right-of-way widths and locations of those types within the city. The developer will build a 50-foot right-of-way, which is the smallest allowable right-of-way and which is the most appropriate for a local road. So it's all good on that one. Regarding letter E, the proposed plat does not conflict with anything in the street type and right-of-way chart in the Code of Ordinances under letter E. It should be noted that though this chart does not really address what letter E is regulating, which is street width, it does conform to the new street width regulation adopted by the Board of Aldermen on August 19th, 2025. So there's no issues at all found with that typical street section that they proposed. Regarding letter F, both of the proposed intersections appear to be right angles. Regarding letter G, planning staff may need clarification, and that one just referred to the corner radii at the street intersections, and we just figured the planning department would administratively get clarification from the engineer. Regarding letter H, no street jogs are proposed, so everything's good there. And a street jog is when streets somewhat meet but are slightly off center from each other. The proposed streets are perfectly aligned with each other, so there's no issue there. Regarding letter I, the proposed plat appears to follow all regulations on cul-de-sac design. So everything's good there. And then regarding letter J, we have that planning staff may need clarification, and that one is the street grades of 0.5% will be required for adequate drainage. I think I saw in there that it was 0.2, but we can have the engineer address that when he comes up to speak tonight. Regarding letter K, there's no alleys proposed, so there's no issue there. And regarding letter L, there does not appear to be a feasible way to allow for a future street connection from this proposed subdivision to any other lot. There's technically a possibility for a future connection to the private roadway to the west, but this was determined to not be financially feasible for the developer as well as for the city. Having a singular entrance across from Jordan Drive seems to be the only option when weighing all of the possibilities for connectivity. So the planning department technically did not have anything in conflict with the ordinance on that overall design as far as the street connectivity going one way in and out. So the next section is about easements. Going down after the text from the ordinance, we have regarding letter A, the proposed plat shows 3 lots with easements. One is a drainage easement on lot 17, and the other 2 are sewer easements on lots 5 and 18. Planning staff would like clarification on the easements as well as information on any potentially required easements for all other lots. And all we mean by that is on a lot of lots we see that there's an easement drawn around every lot. It doesn't technically have to be drawn on every lot. You could just put in a note section that says what the easements are. We'll let the engineer draw it however he wants on that for that item. And then for letter B, we have that there are major concerns about 2 drainage courses running through this proposed subdivision. Planning staff would like clarification on what will be done regarding surface drainage. And then the next sections on blocks, we found nothing in conflict with the block design requirements. And then the next section is regarding lots. And we have that the proposed plat appears to conform to all regulations on lot design. And then the next is about public sites. And for our comments, we have this proposed plat provides adequate common open space in the center of the neighborhood. The mailbox cluster will be in this common open space. There will be a major water detention area in this common open space, but this will be far in the back, and this will leave plenty of recreational space available for the community in the center of the community. So that covers all the sections that we had to review and that the Planning Commission has to review. In conclusion, based on the criteria the Planning Department and the Planning Commission must review, planning staff does not see any substantial reason to deny this preliminary plat. And then we have the proposed possible motion there, and that concludes our presentation.
All right, thank you. All right, does any of the commissioners have a question for our director?
Yeah, I have one.
All right, go ahead, Commissioner Freeman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Andrew, looking at the plat, you go to the third screen up top, where you show the overview with the pond and all that. Up there high. Overview, the color one. Right there. Right there where it say Horn Lake at, where they gonna cut that road approximately? If that's where it's gonna be cut in? Off that road there?
So
A reference, that's what I'm trying to get reference, based off where that lake is, it's gonna be on the right-hand side.
are you talking about where the end of the cul-de-sac will, like, are you talking about where?
Where that pond, retention pond, at the house on the right, on the west side. Where they gonna cut that road in reference, it's gonna be right where that Horn Lake, I just trying to get an estimate.
I don't think they're not cutting a road.
Right there where that Horn Lake sign on the picture, approximately gonna be the south.
So where that number is where that number is where the house is, and then that you can kind of match it up with. So try to take a quick screenshot of this in your memory, and then go to page. Guess you could go to page 4. No, go to page
Over there usually pay.
5. All right, so that's where that house is, and then that driveway comes that, yeah, and then so if you put the cursor to the left a little bit, you can kind of see the edge of the very end of that road. Keep going down. Yeah, right there. That's where that's where the end of the road will be. Yeah, it's going to end pretty close to where that house is, and that house is right under that number in that screenshot. Yes.
I have a question.
All right, go ahead.
The fee, the $300 per lot, do we, put it in now with a motion?
1 second. I mean, ultimately, it'll be, you could put that into the motion, but ultimately, the Board of Aldermen gives the final decision on that. But let me go back and locate that one real quick.
B,
Okay, yes, the Planning Commission can have that in their motion.
we need it. Did I wrote?
Yeah, it specifically says that the Planning Commission
Okay.
may recommend that a proposed subdivision be assessed a fee in lieu of public land dedication at the rate of $300 per lot for development of 50 lots or less, and $250 per lot for development over 50 lots. And the applicant can address whether or not the developer intends to dedicate that to the city for it being a public park, or if they are planning to have it as a privately owned park in that neighborhood.
All right, any other questions?
Andrew, I know that you made a statement here that the residents are concerned about the flooding. Is the curb and gutter going to be adequate to give those people peace of mind and make sure they get the wastewater runoff okay without flooding?
So I'm going to leave that up to the engineers. I know this is not a perfect process that we have. Right now, we're just looking at the overall street layout, the overall lot layout, the overall places where the homes are going, the streets are going, and the water's going. This is kind of like a very high up sky view of the overall design. And as far as actual measurements of, predicting where water's gonna travel and how much it's gonna flood, I cannot give any guidance on that.
Go ahead.
That's in my ward, and I've been over there and I've spoken with the constituents that live in that area with the concerns of the flooding. I've seen pictures, I've seen videos of the flooding that occurs there after storms, and it's a real thing. I know Andrew said he hasn't seen it himself, but it is a real thing. It's not made up. Thank you.
All right, any other questions?
Andrew, I drove down there myself on Friday afternoon, and there's a drainage creek and stuff, and you can kind of see it on that first map Mr. Freeman was referencing. So based off of these lines, is the developer going to be responsible for cleaning up this? Because that down there is clogged and terrible and already standing water and everything. So is he going to be responsible for taking care of that, or is that going to be left to whomever owns the land on the other side?
Sorry, which spot are you talking about?
If you go back to the map Mr. Freeman referenced, it's like right under the word lake where it's in blue right there. You can kind of see how that drain, and there's like a ditch there that flows. It's all grown up and you can barely get any water right there.
I believe the engineer may speak on this tonight. I know that last time he referenced the issue being the size of the pipe, and so I would imagine that since this is this touches the property being developed, I would imagine that as a part of the development, they may address that the issue of water passing through
The
there.
pipe that goes under the road there from west to east, it's a large size pipe, so it's gotten clogged, and everything greenery and everything else is growing there along with trash and everything, and it looked terrible. I actually took pictures so I could reference it later if needed, because it's a mess, and that whole road back there you can tell floods and holds water because it's so washed out. People have actually made paths off the road to go around it because it's so bad. The poor little Domino's man that was coming down the road when I was coming back out, God love him, it looked like his car was going to tear up, like he had no shocks or something because the road was so bad back there. And I talked to a couple of the people who live back there, and they said the flooding is terrible. So I'm just curious about making sure somebody takes care of that, because if the developer's not, somebody really needs to pay attention to that back there.
Yeah, and this is kind of what I was referencing earlier. It is very important, and it's very good to bring this up. This is all very relevant. What we have is the literal words on the paper that we have to go by, and so it's very difficult for us in the planning department when we're aware of these events. We get told these events all the time. We do get people showing us pictures and video and telling us about it. But when we have to match this up to the ordinances, the only thing that relates to what we're talking about is that letter C in that first section that we reviewed, where it says the arrangements of streets and lots shall give due regard to topography and other physical features of the property. So, this will be up to the Planning Commission and the Board of Aldermen as to whether or not the plat presented gives due regard to the topography and other physical features of the property. And that's specifically for the streets and lots. So this part of the ordinance doesn't actually mention anything about drainage. And so the idea that when everyone was putting together these ordinances a long time ago, I imagine that the idea that they had for this process was to design the streets and the lots with due regard to topography and physical features of the property, and then have the engineers figure out how to make the drainage fall into this layout. And so that's all I'm going to say on that.
All right, any other questions for Andrew?
I have one more.
Okay.
I have a question. So when you're at Jordan Road, right across from where they're wanting to propose this, and you're facing it, and you look, that's a dangerous area right there, because it's the drive is a hidden drive, and then you're going to add another one to it. But that's not what I meant to say. But across there, if you look, what do you say to someone that wants to propose and build something like this when you can clearly see here it comes like this, here it comes like this? Oh, we're going to build in a valley, so to speak. I mean, what do you ask? Because you can clearly look at it from a view that this is going to be a problem. So how are you've got all the things like you said, but it's going to be down. So what are we going to do about all of the excess? So I know it goes back to what you said, but what do you say to someone when essentially that's what they're doing? They're building in a valley between two mountains. I know that's a bit extreme, but that's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah, so that's actually a really good point. Yeah, we do notice that it dips down in that area. I mean, obviously, you could definitely have a stoplight there. They're obviously going to be higher up in the air. You could see stoplight coming from up on that hill. So that's one possibility. I believe a stoplight would be very appropriate for that spot. But I don't know if maybe we need to do maybe consult with our engineer on how that might impact the that other existing driveway. I still think it would be appropriate. I'm always a fan of reducing deadly collisions anywhere in the city. I know people may not initially like more traffic lights, but I think a traffic light would be really appropriate there.
I have something to say. So the issue of flooding and danger, shouldn't that be addressed with the builders as well?
I'm sorry, what exactly do you mean?
I said the issue of flooding and what Commissioner just explained, shouldn't that be addressed with the building so you guys can come together and come up with a plan as how to make the
Yes,
area safe
usually,
for residents?
usually all the issues relating to water drainage and water collection and water runoff and flooding, that is typically addressed after this platting process is passed. You know, the platting is just for the shape of the lots and where the streets go, and typically the developer meets with the planning department and the engineers, and they all figure out where the water's going to go, how much water gets collected there, how the water's going to run off, and then all the details on the pipes and the detention ponds. So that is typically the process, and
Okay.
that's the process in most places. That's how we do it
Okay.
here as well.
Okay, I just wanna ensure that this is done, so people don't end up with flooding.
Would the applicant like to come up? All right, go ahead and state your name and address. All right, do you have anything you'd like to add to that? I know you've been listening to the conversation before we start asking you questions.
I'll start with the actual overall process of what the city requires from me, and that starts with what you're seeing today. With all the detail and all the questions, I completely understand, but at this point in the process, the city doesn't let me submit a set of construction plans with what you're asking about, flooding, drainage, everything that you're seeing, going over there and seeing all that. I completely understand. But that we are hired to provide a design set, stamped legal set to build based on all the FEMA flood regulations, MDEQ state draining regulations, and the city engineering, Neil Schaefer, for the city of Horn Lake. That is what we are required to do. At this point in the process, they don't tell me to submit that. So I don't have that to give you.
So if I understand, I mean, just make sure, that's why it does say preliminary plat. After this, it goes to a final plat, once y'all have all that discussion, and it comes back
So-
before us.
Yep. After this, it'll go to the rezoning. Then it'll be rezoned, and then we will have, I will be providing a full set of construction plans that address every concern that you're questioning here. And then Neil Schaefer's, they review it for a month, and then we come back, and then we go back for a final that you will see. But at this point in the process, I'm not able to submit that, so I can't provide that. However, I can address those concerns now, verbally. I know what it's like out there. As for that drive, like you said, the Pizza Hut, man, that's a private drive. The city doesn't own it, we don't own it. The only thing that I can control is what's on our property legally. I've seen it, it's bad.
Now,
It
if I
is-
understand these plans, though, y'all not even tying into that road anymore.
We don't, and that, I think that goes back to your question. We don't have any cut through on that road. The only connection we physically have is on Nail. That's the only connection we have. We have zero connection other than what is already existing, that house, that entrance, that's there right now. That's current. But we physically and legally can't do anything to that road. It is owned by one individual, not by the city, and the only thing that we have access to is that one home that has an easement that allows him to get on his property.
And I wasn't talking about the drive, I was talking about how bad the flooding is. It's obvious by driving down through that road. But I was asking about the drain that goes along there, though, because the picture just didn't show a good, clear cut. If that was gonna be on your side of the responsibility, or if
Yeah,
it was
so,
still gonna be over.
Can we go to the plat, and then maybe I can, that one's fine. So you see that, where I have the detention area right there. Do you see that dark line? Go to the right, top right-hand corner, Billy, right there. Oh, see the drive, and I go over that dark line, that's the 36-inch pipe that you're seeing. Okay, that's clogged, it's terrible, okay? My detention, well, that'll be a full facility that we will put a outlet structure on with trash gates that will be maintained by the HOA. The question that you had about the $300 per lot thing, it will not be public. It will be private and will be maintained by an HOA through the CCRs it will submit via the final plat months down the road. So it will all be maintained from a legal standpoint. And from the corrective action standpoint of flooding, now, it's not represented on here because this picture is not meant to represent drainage on here. Okay? There is curb, gutter, and sidewalk, yes. But we have designed a full underground drainage system that connects to the 48 you see off of Nail Road. So when you drive down Nail and you see the big steep that you're talking about, that's the 48-inch pipe that you see. And we will be tying onto that via manhole and then designing a full underground system that goes into that detention pond and fixes that problem. Now, when you drive down there, you will see that it is in a valley. We propose fill. We're proposing a massive amount of fill. We will be approximately 1.5 feet, 2 feet below Nail Road. Right now, it is not representative of that when you drive down there because we have not been able to construct. But after this thing is built, we are proposing 1.5 feet lower than Nail Road, and it'll be at a massive amount of fill on this site.
So when you're gonna clear that property, so you're gonna cut the road in there first? You're gonna have to clear the trees and everything out of the way to build that subdivision there, correct?
Typically, the first step is grubbing, underbrushing, grubbing, yep.
Right, so you gotta build a road to get logging trucks in there to move stuff out of there, right?
We're required by MDEQ to put down a construction entrance. That will have to be filled to their requirements, the state requirement. I'm not sure what that is at the moment, but typically it's at grade, our proposed grade, have to be at that grade. So fill will have to be brought in before anything. And that's what we're governed by through the state and through the city's regulations. It's basically, we're given a roadmap by the city, and that's kind of what we're bounded by. And we comply with every single bit of comprehensive compliance that the city provides us. Now, when it comes to the engineering portion, like I said, I'm not able to submit that at this time. So I can't get past that point without an approval.
Do you not see that fill as being a problem, knowing that the area is flooded and it's in a valley? The more water that washes in, slowly over time, it's gonna wash out.
So the water coming onto this site, the only amount of water that comes onto this site that you see right here is via the pond from the north, okay? That we do not plan on touching. That is, will remain existing. The only one that we plan to disturb, the second access onto this piece of property via runoff, is that 48-inch pipe. That's the only other access water has on this property. Now, 48 inches of water is a lot of water. That's what you're seeing. That does cause flooding. But when this is built, you won't even see that pipe. It'll go completely underground into that detention facility that will choke it.
If you talk to the people who live in the home that's gonna be right behind your proposed little cul-de-sac right there, he said it's nothing but flooding and constantly in his backyard, and it runs backwards, back that way, back toward where you're gonna be building. So that's what I'm talking about. Like when you get the rains, you get the flood, it's gonna come down, it's gonna follow
Which one?
how it goes.
Which house, I'm sorry? Which
If you go down the private drive, it's the first house on the right. So it should be right there, right behind your cul-de-sac you're talking about.
Yeah, where the man's pond is.
Nope, you're gonna go further up, this way. It's the very first one on the right. They have sheep and stuff out in the field. You see the sheep on the field to the right first, and then there's a house. It's the very first house on the right when you go down that road. I don't know where the the cursor's way back there. No, that's way back. You gotta come back down toward Nail Road. Right in, yeah, go right there. Nope, down. Nope, not that guy. That's too
on the
far
right.
back. Right in there. There's a house that's right in there, the very first one. It's right here before you even cross the pond. I mean, it's right before you get to that pond on the other side. There's a home there. And he says that all the flooding goes and it reverts back down that hill. I asked him if they ever have any problem because of the road. And he said, yes, all the time. He said, not on my house because I'm on a hill, but it goes all in the back of me.
Hey, I'm still, which house? 4580? So that, I'm just getting, I just want to get clarification on who it may be.
I have one more question, actually. We're talking about filling that up, making it level, but there's still the current residents that live there, that's not part of that subdivision, that are still in the agricultural residential area, they're still gonna be in that valley. So you're raising it up, and that's gonna flood them worse.
Look, the only thing I can tell you is we can't legally flood somebody. I can't. I mean, we have every bit of liability on this, myself and the developer, as well as the city. The city reviews it. The city has to stamp it. All I can say is it will be fully functioning, engineered subdivision. That's the only thing I can tell you. Every bit of flooding that you see on this site, I have to legally slow down. I have to take it, what is existing, and my proposed runoff cannot be any quicker, or the quantity can't be any more than what is already on the ground. That's all I can say. That's what I'm governed by.
Any other questions? Like I said, I just want to reiterate what everything is saying is that, and I love the discussion that we're having and everything, but this is just for a preliminary plat. So it's just looking at the map and just saying, does this fit with what the city, what's in city code? And the other stuff that we've been bringing up tonight, I mean, he has addressed, and it will be addressed officially when we get further down, because he can't even technically present it on paper right at this time. So I just want to remind everybody that we're looking at just what they have laid out. So do we have any other questions for the applicant? All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll go ahead.
After review of case number 2025-115, the Planning Commission approved the request for the preliminary plot of Golden Eagle Estate on parcel 108-932-000-000-3603 by Ben Smith of Smith Walker Engineer and Surveying LLC, with the following condition: that the proposed subdivision be assessed a fee of $300 per lot in lieu of public land dedication.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Wait.
I said.
A motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion?
1 second. Freeman.
Roll call, please.
Kirby,
Nay.
Mark Crawford,
Nay.
Lakita Fox,
Nay.
Calvin Freeman,
Yes.
Morris Taylor,
Yes.
Vidal, yes.
Yes.
Jesse Ware, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Motion passes 4-3.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, on to other business, the Straight C is Streets for All survey. I'll turn this back over to the staff for comment presentation.
Thank you. Yes, so we are still in the middle of our Safe Streets First survey, public outreach, and we just got some new business cards in with a QR code, but it takes you to the same place that we've had posted for a while. If you know anybody that has any concerns about sidewalks, walkability, pedestrian, vehicle, bicycle safety in the city, please have them fill this out. I think Billy's taking you to the website right now. It consists of a survey in 3 parts. One is a questionnaire that talks about basically ranking different issues regarding walkability and safety in the city. And then there's a section about there's a section where you can click on an interactive map, and so here we go. So here's our website, and you can access this through hornlake.org on the news section where he just clicked. So you can click on the survey there. You can answer some questions. They're very, very easy questions. Next is the interactive map. This is the fun part. You could see what other people in the city have commented. You could zoom into the map, turn on the aerial imagery on it. You can click on all the bubbles and see what people have commented. The majority of these are going to be about sidewalks and bike lanes, dangerous intersections, ADA curb ramps needed, intersections that are dangerous for car drivers as well as pedestrians and bicyclists. As long as it relates to anything safety on walking, bike riding, and driving vehicles, please put it all on this map. So this is open until, I know we extended the time period. Is it, you remember the extension period? We extended it about another week. So it was going to close on the 29th originally. So I think now it's going to close on
The,
the 7th or the 8th.
I think the 8th.
Yeah. So I think it was the 7th. So basically, you have another week to get this filled out if you haven't already.
Hey, Andrew, can I add that if they've already done it, they can go back and add another marker if they think of something at a later date?
Yes, I believe so. I believe you're talking about for the interactive map.
Yeah, I'll think of something and I'll go back in the middle of
Okay.
the night and put it in there.
Well, I'm glad you've proven that true. So yes, you can put multiple markers on the map.
All right. Do we have anything else? Otherwise, do we have a motion to adjourn? All right.
Second.
There we go. A second. All in favor?